Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. As you know, it's an hour with Dave, June 18th, and we have a special guest today. It's John Nungesser. He's with the 25th Ward and District 177. Young man is, you got to catch this cat because this young man's running. He's running for state rep. Super smart man and young, and he's got a lot to offer. John, welcome to An Hour with Dave.
Thank you for having me, Dave. Nice to meet you finally.
Yeah, finally. John, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get going. What got you started in politics?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I was born and raised in Port Richmond. I was right up the road here. Grew up there my whole life. Went to Roman Catholic High School, went to Temple, and then when I came out of college, when I really started getting involved in politics, and I would argue that going to such a liberal school like Temple really made me a conservative in a way because I just got to see how, when you start talking to people, you start challenging their idea. Well, why do you feel this way? Why do you feel that way? A lot of times people don't have a solid answer for you, and a lot of times if you come, you need to, you still find yourself trying to argue facts with someone that's arguing with emotion, and that's what really drew me to the Republican Party. And then when I decided to run for office was frankly just because I was fed up with the state of city politics in general.
Well, I'm kind of glad. I'm really glad that you did swing to the side of the Republican Party because we need the youth. We need your energy. We need your perspective because it's hard out here. It's hard. The Republican Party has always been, to me, I've always been a Republican all my life. And people question me, why a Republican Party? And I'm like, because I really feel that the Republican Party is where they have the heart for the people. And I think the Democratic Party has failed the Democrats a lot. But 25th Ward, you said it's in Port Richmond.
Yes, sir.
Is that near St. Mary's, the old St. Mary's and all that, or no?
I'm not actually too sure, to be honest with you. I'm not sure where St.
Frankfurt
Mary's.
and Palmer area? Or where does the 25th come in around?
So 25th goes from Allegheny to Lehigh, from Frankfurt over to the river.
Frankfurt, Allegheny to Lehigh. So, no, you would be
Yeah,
below
I
it.
think St. Mary's right outside of it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Okay. But Northeastern is close to your area, right?
Yep.
The old Northeastern Hospital?
Yep, right up in there.
What's going on in your area? What do you think is it's happening in your area right now?
Well, as of right now, a lot of the businesses and the bars and restaurants are finally starting to reopen with a limited capacity. All the restaurants are still outside dining for the time being. So our small businesses are still hurting from the lockdown, but everything's starting to return to normal. They're starting to get the help that they need because like they've been out of jobs for months now. People are hurting financially, and it's time to get everything opened back up, get everybody back to work safely.
I know that Port Richmond, Fishtown area was heavy industrial area too, because I remember Lehigh area, Second Street, Allegheny, Second Street. We had a lot of work, a lot of factories. So your area has been affected pretty heavily when it comes to loss of work sites, right? Because you have Armingo, and you have whatever's on Allegheny, but you don't have much more than that, do you?
Yeah, all the main shops mostly are up and down Aramingo Avenue and then Castor Avenue from Aramingo to the river. And yeah, I mean, especially a couple weeks ago when they were looting all the stores, like Aramingo Avenue got hit really hard on that weekend. I remember in particular.
Wow, that's a shame. I mean, the loitering that was going on, I believe that everybody has the right to protest. Even if it's something's blue and you want to protest that it's really yellow, I'm good with it because that's your right to protest. But when it comes to the looting and burning and other, we lost track of what the meaning of it was because no life, I believe in every single life is valuable, regardless of your color, your skin, race, gender. I believe that every life is valuable, and no one should lose anyone.
Absolutely. And I would argue the overwhelming majority of Americans were supportive of the protest. We were all in agreement. What happened in Minnesota was wrong. But then when people started rioting and started looting and started burning things to the ground, that's where that's the message got diluted at that point. Like the message got all clouded, and that's where the distractions came in. Quite frankly.
Well, it hurts. It hurts the meaning of why we're protesting, why we're out there protesting. How is, other than the economical impact of what you have, what do you see as some of the problems? Like, I believe that some of the issues that we're losing in the inner cities are the lack of family um, cohesiveness. You know, having mom and dad around, having not having so many single parents. You know, does that affect your area? Do you see that affecting your area at all?
Yeah, I see it in the neighborhood a lot. And one thing I've gone on record as saying too, in addition to the family values and structures, is the neighborhood community as a whole. Like it doesn't, like you always hear the old timers from the neighborhood talking about how everybody on a Saturday would come out and sweep their street up, sweep
Hmm.
their steps down. And, you don't really see that kind of stuff anymore. Neighbors don't really interact with each other. Everybody's got their face in their phones.
Yeah, that's scary. It hurts a lot of people. I think that technology has advanced us, but it's also hurt us.
It's made
'Cause-
everybody more isolated in a way too.
yeah.
When you have more communication with more people than ever before, somehow it's made us even more isolated than we ever were.
What are some of the ideas that you're gonna have to deal with the things in your community? How are you gonna, if you, Lord willing, gain this position? Um, what are some of the plans?
Well, my number one plan from the jump, even before the COVID lockdown hit and so many people were put out of jobs, my main goal was always to bring more jobs into the district. My goal was always from the jump to open a fully rounded trade school.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
carpentry, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, everything you could learn in a trade school, put a fully funded one, fully rounded one in the district. That way you can employ professors and teachers. You can set up a whole new generation of trades workers in our area.
Well, I think we've lost a lot of that in the past. I remember when I was, well, it's a long time ago. I'm sure not to hit my age out there, but I remember when I was in school, we had wood shop, we had mechanics, we had plumbing. Yeah, there were a lot of trades that you could learn. Now, a kid out here doesn't have a chance because we don't have none of that anymore in the trade schools. You know, public schools, to me, it's a shame that we're getting hit the way we are. Um, I'm for um, all types of education. And I believe that the public school system, listen, no teacher, on my point of view, my hindsight, and I know quite a few teachers, no teacher ever goes into teaching to become rich because it doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
Their main goal is to their lively the thoughts with the teachers that I know was to mold younger minds and get them to do, open up to what their potentials are. Public school systems need a lot of help, not only in Philadelphia, across the country. And private schools are not bad. School choices, I'm always for school choice, because I also believe that we need the trade schools because not everybody's a college material.
Well, not even just college material. Like, you see kids coming out of trade school and they're coming right out making six figures within a couple of years. Whereas, I'll be honest, I got a degree from Temple 2 years ago and I'm still, working as a maintenance man at a church. So, my degree went to real good use there.
But I tell people, yeah, you could have neurologists, you could have a pilot, you could have, directors and CEOs, but they all need plumbers, they all need electricians, they all need carpenters, and that's just as important. So none of these trades that we're talking about, and they're good trades, good money makers.
Yeah, and we're,
You know.
the Labor Bureau is predicting a labor shortage I think it was by 2023. And you need these jobs to be filled. There's jobs to be had. There's money to be made in the fields, and I think we need to get young people, especially I'm focusing on young people in our district, but as a whole, more young people need to go into the trades and take advantage of the opportunities that are there. And I wish the school, like high schools, mostly promote college. They say you need a 4-year college. They try to dissuade people from trade schools, from community college even. Like, I think that's something that needs to be addressed too. Is why don't we push community college or trade schools with the same fervor that we push a 4-year college?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that the best teachers out here, they look at an individual and they can help guide if you let them. guide a student to what their strengths are. Um, I know I was in college material. You know, I did go to community college. I attended community college. I was college material. I knew that. I loved using my hands for a lot of things, um, and I still do. I was always in my life in sales. But you got to understand that there's people out there that are made for specific things. I know mechanics who are just like they can. I knew an old man that was a mechanic, and he could listen to a car and tell you what was going on, and you didn't even know about it. So there is a lot to be said for trade schools, and I like the idea that you're pushing for trade schools. You know,
That was always plan number one. And then, like I said, when the COVID lockdown hit, we had 42 million Americans out of work. And I think now we definitely need jobs more than we ever did before.
When we come back, let's we're gonna ready to take a break soon. But when we come back, how do you give you a minute to get your thoughts together and around? Do you think we're ready to open up? Do you think we need to open up completely? Where do you think the strength and the negativities are? I personally believe that we just need to open up because we got to get our country back in order. And I think that Trump will put it back in order. I think the Republican Party will put it back in order. But we can't afford to have what's happening now in Washington and in Harrisburg. So give you a few minutes after that, after we take this break, to gather your thoughts and see what you think about it. You think we're ready to be opened up and where we're going from there. What do you think?
I think everything's ready to be reopened up, man.
Yeah, we gotta get ready to jump into a commercial, everyone. But once we come back, we're gonna get talk to John and pick his brains a little bit and see what he feels the city and what his area needs to do to open up and if it's ready to open up. But don't disappear because he's got a lot to say and you got a lot to learn about this young man out here. So, see you back in 2.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today. If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And we're still here. We're gonna still be talking to John, and see where John Gesser,
Nungesser, yep.
Nungesser. I'm gonna get it right before this hour is over. Trust me, and see where he's at. We left it with talking about opening up for your area. How do you think? You think your area is ready to open up? What's been going on?
Yeah, I think people are ready to open back up their business. I think people are just ready to go back to work in general. I mean, I know a lot of people were worried about a big spike in cases, but we've seen states that have already reopened. You see Florida, Texas, Arizona. A lot of those states, there hasn't been a huge surge in cases. They've had much more testing done, and it's showing more numbers, but that doesn't indicate that there was necessarily a huge spike in cases. It just means they were doing more testing. You understand?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you do more testing, you got to expect to see more numbers.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the numbers they don't lie, but I don't think that we've had that much of a spike
No.
going on. So you think your area is ready for everything to open up? How about your churches?
Yeah, the churches, as of last weekend, the churches were told to reopen by the Archbishop of Philadelphia. So actually, we
Okay.
work at a church here, so we have necessary precautions taken. You know, you maintain social distancing in the pews. The priest puts gloves on and fresh hand sanitizer before he distributes Holy Communion. I mean, the churches are ready to go.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Because it baffled me that we were having liquor stores opened up, bars serving drinks, dispensaries around the country of that dispense marijuana were able to be open. Some places wanted to have the abortion centers opened up, but you couldn't go into church. That
And I was just talking to this earlier. I was like, when this thing started and all the box stores were still open, I was like, you're telling me I can walk into a Home Depot or a Walmart whenever I want, but I can't go to a 6:30 a.m. mass that has 10 people in it, spaced out in a huge church? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I couldn't absorb the concept there. And considering that when you look at where the crisis and a lot of the people that we lost were in nursing homes. And I think that was just a huge mismanagement, the way the governors all mismanaged things. I'm glad to see that, we're getting a little more space, but, for the most part, Americans aren't stupid. They're not going to sit here and put themselves at risk and put the public at risk, especially if they're business people. I don't see it. If we had these stores open, the more burning and looting and destroying of private properties and these stores, you're hurting the communities. Germantown got hit bad. Your area got hit bad. Lehigh got hit bad. Then we couldn't figure out how seniors were going to get their medicines. And then how we were going to be able to. But if these stores were open and you're affecting the local jobs, that was the worst part about it. Because when you burn down these stores and you break into these places and you destroy the properties, you're not only hurting the community itself, the area, but you're hurting the workers from the area, the people who had the jobs at the Family Dollars and the sneaker houses and the pharmacies, and that hurt.
Yeah, and I still, to this day, I don't understand what the point of the looting all was that happened. What was the message we were supposed to take from that? How was that supposed to help anybody?
I don't know. It's $1 million question. You probably have a better chance of getting that answered than anything. All right, so you're ready? You're ready to get your people? How's your campaign coming?
It's going. We're obviously every campaign running this year is seeing some setbacks because of the lockdowns, but we're ready to get back out there.
Okay, and you got planned events coming up and.
Nothing at the moment. We're still waiting to see when we can host events for the current moment, but we definitely are going to have events before this campaign's over.
Okay, and you'll be willing to go out and do your door-to-door stuff too, right?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to get back to it. I can't wait to get back out and talk to the people in the district.
Who's your opponent?
Representative Joe Hohenstein.
Okay, all right. And any independent running or just?
No, it's just me versus Mr. Hohenstein.
Okay, all right. And it's your first shot?
Yeah, it's my first time running for office.
You like it?
It's a little more challenging than I was expecting, I'll admit. But no, it's definitely been a great experience so far, and especially running this year of all years,
What's your feel? What's your feel with the public right now when you're talking to people?
Well, I feel right now people are first of all ready to open up. They're ready to get back to work, and people want someone mostly who's going to listen to them, their concerns, and instead of voting along party lines, they want someone that's actually going to listen to their needs.
All right. Some of the things. What are some of the other things that we know that your education was one? What else you got in your platform?
I definitely support additional funding for police, which I don't know if you saw last night what the city council voted to cut $33 million from the police department.
I think that's a joke.
Yep. We need,
know.
and that's one message. That's another thing I don't understand about what's happening now. They're calling for defunding the police and taking this money away, but they want all police to have all this additional training. Like, you need money for the training.
Well, not only that, but taking away this money is, I don't understand it. It's not logical to me, and I think the public needs to look at this seriously and realize what city council is doing to them. You know, when you're taking away funds from the people who come out there every day, every single day, protecting protecting your properties, helping you, running to your aid when you're in trouble, and then you're gonna tell them that they're not. You know, there's bad apples everywhere, but it's not every cop.
No, it's not. I
you know.
have several family that are police. You know, I always have loved police, respected police. There's the overwhelming majority are good people.
Yeah.
And in this city and in most major cities, it seems like the local officials kind of, raise their noses to the police and they kind of look down on them. Well, police need a representative that has their back too.
Yeah. Well, I just think that defunding them is wrong. What's happening to the police department is wrong. Yeah, what's happening and losing lives out here is wrong. The lives being lost every day. But I don't believe in defunding, cutbacks. You're gonna hurt the police department. It's gonna affect what they're doing as far as being able to respond. And where's the stop from there? You know, how are you gonna keep defunding a group that's out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm baffled just thinking about how city council passed this. And again, I think that the public needs to be aware of what city council is doing to them. You know, our city has, and I'll mention it because I say it now. It's been over 50 years of run by Democrats. We had factories. If I start to name the factories that used to be here when I first came to Philadelphia, just along, starting from Second and Allegheny, moving on its way down to Spring Garden Street, when we had the beer, I think it was Budweiser beer or Schmitz beer. There were factories. I'm probably talking about years before you were even born. But we had a clothing factory on Second and Allegheny. We had the chocolate factory, the box factory. We had going down Second Street that I remember Schmitz. And then we had the chocolate factory, the box factory. We had a metal factory. We had a plastic molding factory. We had the beer company on I believe it was Girard, around Second and Girard. I mean, we had a lot of you leave from one job to another. You had everything down here, and we don't have it anymore. We don't have half. We don't have a third, I believe, of what jobs we had here before for the working class people, and that's hurt us.
Yeah, and Philadelphia has always been a very blue collar area. It's always been hard working. You know, you and me both work jobs outside of our campaigns as well. You know, we both know, and we all just want to work too. Philadelphians want to work hard. They want to earn their money the right way. And we definitely need to bring these jobs back to our city.
Well, I think the city council has hurt us, and I believe that the Democratic Party has hurt the city pretty bad when it comes to some of the things that they've been doing. But this to me is like one of the final strokes that it's done to the city, because I think they're bowing down to what they believe their pressure is. I think it's a shame. It's a terrible shame to see that what city council is doing. But if you get in, you're gonna fight this.
Yep, I want to do whatever I can at the state level to help bring jobs back into our city, into our district. Do whatever I can to help fund the police, like we were talking about. Definitely the police need their funding as well, because people out of work, people, where you have high rates of joblessness, you seem to have high rates of violence as well, and you need police in the places where that is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think that we got to address this from a state rep level, because you could be able to work with hopefully a congressman side by side, and to work on what it is that we can do to bring as much as possible into Philadelphia for jobs. We need to seriously think about what we're going to do with the younger generation. We cannot afford to seeing them dropping out of school. We can't afford to have single parenthood going on. We got to come back. We got to, and I've been pushing this a lot myself. You deal with the Catholic Association. I'm thinking across the board. We need to think about every religion, whether you're Catholic, whether you're a Protestant, Pentecostal, Baptist. The churches need to get out there. We need to open them doors up. To me, I said it last week, I challenge people to go back to their churches and say, what we can do. Let's take the folding chairs and put them outside. They say you have safe distances. Fine, we'll do safe distances. We'll close off the whole block and put the whole church outside in folding chairs. But we need to stop letting the streets get destroyed the way they are now. And we need to get the public out there. The churches have a big role to play in it.
And I feel like there's such a big stigma attached to people who go to church too, that we need to definitely work to overturn that as well.
Oh, yeah. And I think that, and it's all religions need to get out there, everyone. And I'm glad to see that the Catholic leaders are saying, no, we're not going to keep the churches closed, because somebody got to stand up. Somebody needs to start standing up to the government, and stop this nonsense, because where's it going to stop? You're taking away this money now. What's going to happen? Where else are you going to? The schools are in desperate needs. So what are you going to? How much of the inner city are you going to destroy and let fall aside before you stand up and say, I can't do this anymore? And how many Catholic schools are in your area?
We have 3 in the neighborhood, and then we have, I'm not sure the exact number in the district. I know there's a lot in there. There used to be a lot more, though. You know what I'm saying?
The Catholic churches have been hit pretty hard with loss of membership and funds.
Yep, not even that. The Catholic schools are all
We're
full.
getting ready to go on a commercial break.
Whoops.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
$150 over $90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps. Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
All right, we're back here. Sorry about that. Had to cut off. We had to run into a quick commercial break here. Of course, we started getting a little deep into things. And John, you were finishing a thought that you had when it came to the Catholics.
Yeah, I
schools.
was just saying the Catholic schools, there used to be a lot more than there are now. Just from the time I was growing up on Allegheny Avenue in Port Richmond, there were 3 of them within a few blocks. And then they merged all 3 of the schools together into one. One of the churches is closed now. The other churches are barely hanging on.
Oh, maybe we need to talk about federally helping out some of the Catholic churches and schools.
I think it's every religion's getting hurt too, man.
Let's talk about this because some of the things that I see going in that, because I'm the ward leader in the 197, that I'm running for the 2nd congressional district, and some of the concerns that I have is when they moved they wanted to put safe shooting sites up. Obviously, I don't know how you feel about it. I'm highly objective to that. I don't want that anywhere near my kids. I don't want that to be a norm. That's one thing. But the other thing is, too, if you look at Front Street, Allegheny, I don't know. What's the street right after Front and Allegheny? There's a little street there with a park there right off Allegheny. That has become a hub for drug dealing and drug using. And you walk up and down the street, you see nothing but syringes all over the place. You had, on Tulip Street, you had a group that was underneath the railroad system there for a while.
Yep, they used to the homeless used to set up tents under the railroad tunnel because they used to be on the overpass above it, and then the city came in and knocked all the. There used to be trees up there. There's a whole wooded area. The city came in, knocked all the trees down, and then the homeless would set up an encampment under the tunnel at Lehigh Avenue.
So I know that they moved. Some of them had moved to that park area I'm telling you about. I think it's A.
I think
off
you're
A
right.
in Allegheny, and they also moved to Clearfield and Frankfurt. There's an old Catholic school there, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's around that area.
Yep.
So how do you feel you're going to try to address some of the issues with the homeless and the drug using and the safe shooting galleries? What's all your thoughts on all this?
Well, first things first is I vehemently opposed to the safe injection sites, and we need to fund actual research to help people. You need to advance methods that would work for people, not enable them to stay sick.
Right.
And we definitely need to work to. I think once we address the drug problems, that'll help with the homelessness rate a bit, and then we need to focus on affordable housing in the city as well for our homeless residents.
Because we lost a great viable strip for business, which was all Kensington,
Yep.
all the way up through Allegheny. Because I remember Kent's. Kent's used to have a furniture store right there right below Kensington and Allegheny. And you just had a lot of stuff there. You had Northeastern Hospital, which was off of Tulip Street.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that we need to focus, get funding. There are organizations out there that do a lot with very little. NAAA, they don't get no funding.
No. And I think if we put as much emphasis into AA and NA groups and rehab as we do into these safe injection sites, I think we'd be a lot better off as a city as a whole.
And NA and AA, I know quite a few people who have worked and gone through the program. It really works, and it's a shame because, their philosophy is to stay anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. I can dig that, but they do a great deal with very little, and we need to start looking at what's working, what's not working, what was defunded, with these drug and alcohol programs. I remember I was the director for Horizon House, and we dealt with the homeless program that they had, and we had detox beds. Most of that's gone. Horizon House did an incredible job when it was dealing with shelter systems. I don't even think we have that much work for shelter systems. Girard Hospital.
Yep.
A.F. Girard used to be a good detox place. St. Joseph's, I believe, was on 16th and we don't, on Gerard, we don't have that anymore. DRC used to be in Center City. I can go on and on and on and on and on for some of the programs that actually did something to work. I mean, you can't, if you don't have structure, you know, the opiate crisis is one issue, and I always say that the opiate crisis to me is one issue. But then the homeless crisis and the heroin uses, there's no one model that cures everything, you know. So
And I definitely think we need to invest, like you were saying, more in these rehab centers, because I think an unintended consequence of the lockdown was a lot of the NA groups and the AA groups stopped meeting out of fear of congregating. So, and with all the how stressful the last few months have been, what's the rate of relapse in the among those addicted? Like, that's something that was an unintended consequences. But I honestly would be afraid to see what those numbers are.
oh, it's got to be horrible. But you know, there's a lot that comes to play. There's young ladies that are walking these streets who've been abused, you know, psychologically and physically. That's one issue. You know, when it comes to addiction, in my playbook, there's too much. You can't put emphasis on just one thing. And we need to somehow support family structure, because you can have a young man who could be, again, he could be a plumber, electrician, a carpenter, etc., with a wife and two kids and a girl and a white picket fence. He or she gets hurt, you know, they get a couple prescriptions, but by the second or third prescription of Oxycontin or anything like that, they're addicted. And then all of a sudden you just take it off of them without weaning them off, and now you have an addictive problem. And that affects not only that individual, but the family as a whole. So there's a lot of things that I think you're right. We need to look at funding for it. So one of your proposals is actually to take some time out to look.
Yeah, one thing I would love to do is to, like I said, put an emphasis on rebuilding these rehab centers or these detox centers that we've lost in the years, and to focus on emphasizing NA groups, AA groups, and take the emphasis off of the battle for safe injection sites, which are just an enabling feature for people either who are already addicted or people who think about using drugs but who don't out of fear, and then you give them a safe place to go do it, and now you've just created someone else who's now addicted.
Well, yeah, because we really need to. There's so many different forms of addiction. We need to bring in the best of the best, look at the best of the best, but just not go rampant either. We need to make sure that we monitor what's going on, see what's working, and be able to not defund these programs, but let's say whatever's working at one program may not be working at C, you know. So what is the difference? And then start to have an oversight that we can start looking at what's working and what not working, so we can start to build the right and proper programs. I think that having a 3-day detox, 7-day detox, a 21-day program, and then you put them out to the street, that doesn't work. Because if you're taking somebody and you're putting them right back into the street where, let's say, for example, you were a heroin user or a freebasing, okay? And you always went to McDonald's in the back, and that was your quiet space, or underneath a train track, that was your quiet space to shoot up or to do your line of coke or whatever it may be, your drug of choice, drink your 40. Well, every one of them sites are triggers. And if you took an individual without giving him or her the support for what he or she needs, whenever they go to a McDonald's and they think about it, what's the first thing they do? They're going to think about, wow, I used to go behind McDonald's and get high. Well, if they don't have the support structure, you just enable them to have a trigger that might overwhelm them. You know, and that's very dangerous, because then your relapse number is high, you know, because they need to have people, sponsors, they need to have people around them they can reach out to, and you got to see what the triggers are, and you got to be able to give them the tools to overcome some of them triggers. And if they feel that the trigger's gonna take control of them, they need to be able to reach out. And I don't think a lot of that structure's around anymore.
No, it's not, and that's definitely, when you go to stick someone in a detox center rehab, there needs to be psychological help available for them to help overcome those triggers. When I was at Temple, my degree was in psychology. A lot of my research was based on veterans with PTSD, which you learn a lot how to deal with triggers in that, and that's one of the biggest things is teaching people how to handle that, how to avoid falling into kind of a pit almost when you see something like that and it sends you down into the dark place.
Yeah, it's scary because there's so many different issues, and it needs to have the beginning of it needs to be counseling and tools for that individual. But if you're going to start to begin to try to come to a family structure again, that's a whole different set of needs that family's going to have. I believe, for example, I want to start a tree planting program for people who have lost their children to the opiate crisis or drug overdoses, etc. The crimes in the streets. I know that I think about this all the time, and I want to start this program. So that's one of the issues that I'm going forward with, in my campaign, and even after the campaign, is trying to figure out ways in the community to start supporting programs that will help families heal. You're never gonna a loss of a father, a loss of a son, a loss of a mother, to drugs, to alcohol, to crime. Them wounds don't heal. You learn how to deal with the pain. You learn how to deal with that cut that's open. But do they go away? They never go away. Trust me. I think about my son every day. There's a day that doesn't go by I don't think about my son. And the wounds never heal. You just learn how to cope with it. Some people have a more successful way of coping with it, and some people can't. So, as your background, you will know that. When we come back, though, I want to talk about veterans, and what you think their needs are, and how we can address some of the needs for the veterans. Because I know that's probably got to be something that's on your plate, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to close off our last segment, and we're going to have John talk about the veterans program.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it.
Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift.
50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. You're listening to Usala Media, and you're still on with an hour with Dave. This is our last segment, and we are here with John Nungesser. Nungesser. Oh, I thought I had it for a second there. And this is our last segment, but in touching up here, we're just touching in the veterans. What do you think's happening with vets and where we're at with things? Do you think we're, as a government, as a city, as a structure in general, we're helping? Because I don't believe we're doing as much as we need to for our veterans.
No, and honestly, the question then is it ever enough to repay back the debt that we owe the veterans? But I feel that the president has done a good job in focusing on veterans' mental health and their benefits, but I feel like you said, there's always more we can be doing for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that veterans, to me, there's certain things that are sacred to me. A veteran, any nurse, frontliners, doctors, police officers, military people, personnel. You know, we can never repay what they're doing for us. You know, when they're out there sacrificing, when they're, you know, when you got a soldier that goes overseas and comes back and he or she is hurt or just needs somebody to talk to, they just, I don't feel that there's a way for me to put a limit on any of them. You know, they're tremendous people, tremendous individuals. You know, I see police officers who are out there every day. They're caring. I know military people who are out there every day. I know veterans who are out there, and some veterans are hurting. And I don't see that, you know, as much as we do for every kind of organization, to me, we never, ever do enough to thank our frontliners. What do you think?
No, and you brought up the first responders, the police and the fire. No one ever talks about the PTSD rates within our first responders, and that's a big deal for me too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you think about you dial 911, and here comes a police officer, and he or she is confronted, and it's just got to be scary, gut clenching when you hear that a child is being abused, and you got to go in there.
And you have to stay calm somehow. You have to stay rational.
Yeah, you know, or if a woman's being abused, or you know, if somebody's wielding a knife or a gun, you know, it's, you know, and then you hear the disrespect, but the first ones you call is 911.
Yep.
You know,
and the police get charged, and we call the police in the worst moment of our lives. We call the fire department to run into the buildings that we're all running out of. Like, our first responders, their mental health care needs to become a priority as well.
Sure. How about the nurses that greet you when you're going in and you're grasping on your shirt because your chest is killing you, or you were in a car accident and things on fire and they're trying to drag you out of it, and then they're getting you back to the hospital, put you back together. There's a lot.
Oh my God!
You know, a military person walking up the street that just served 1 or 2 tours, you know, and you should be grateful. If you see him at a Wawa, you see him at somewhere buying a cup of coffee and they're in uniform, man, say thank you. Let me pay you for your coffee. You know, let me have the honor of doing that for you, because you're really out there. You know, I see cops out there every day when they drive by me. In the fire department, I put the cross down on me, and I say, God bless them, protect them. Wherever they're going to answer to somebody who's in need. You know, and I see a military person out there, I want to buy them their food. I want to buy them their cup of coffee, because, sheesh, man. You know, they gave the ultimate sacrifice.
I said it in a video on my Facebook page a couple of weeks ago. I said, you know, whenever you see someone walking on the street with a veteran cap on, they might not be as mean or as lean as they used to be, but you know what? Behind that cap's a story of someone who went over there, who signed their name on a blank check up to and including their life.
Yeah. I mean, I go by VFWs, and you see, I go by the VFW on Frankfurt Avenue, for example. I always turn up, and I see the VFW sign there. And as I'm going by, I would say, God bless them. Yeah. You know, because there might be people in that very same neighborhood, that very same block, that sees the sign for VFW, and you ask them what it is, they probably don't know.
Yeah, it's a shame how little people even know. Like I remember a couple weeks ago, it was Memorial Day. I was watching a video and they said up to about I think it was 42% of millennials didn't know what Memorial Day was.
No.
Like, and that was discouraging to see.
No, you don't see a lot of people, and you know when you see people wanting to burn down churches and burn down, take statues down. You know, if we stop teaching people what caused 9/11, what caused the influenza, what caused the Spanish flu, why was World War I, World War II, why was the blue coats and the gray coats. If you don't keep teaching, we're bound to make the mistakes again.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you don't teach somebody properly. Teach somebody, we're bound to make the mistakes again, without a doubt.
Yep, and I consider myself a student of history. I think I know pretty much a lot about history, especially American history, and patterns throughout it form, and you can definitely see where history's repeated itself. And they always say history will repeat itself, and if we're not careful, we're going to be on the track for something pretty devastating eventually. Yeah. That's why we have to fight back, and we need good leaders to take the charge and say, no, we have to focus our energies on this instead of trying to appease the outrage mob.
Well, because I do believe that we need to make sure that we don't repeat the same problems over and over again. We need to make sure that people understand as they're growing up what price had to be paid to get to where we're at now. And I don't think we're getting that. I think we're getting too many people out there opinionated without knowing.
I'll tell you, last year I actually had the honor of going to Normandy, France for the D-Day anniversary for the 75th. And to meet the World War II veterans who were alive was probably the coolest moment of my life, and getting to talk to them and what they lived through. And it was a much different America back then. I mean, everyone could appreciate their sacrifice. They never had anyone, they never saw anyone burning their flag or spitting in their face. They were considered heroes, as they should have been, just like our veterans nowadays should be as well. Yeah,
and I'm gonna tell you, when I see somebody say that they don't want to cross up, I say that's on you, buddy, because that cross offends you. Well, it offends me that you're offended from my cross. I would never. You're never going to get me to deny my Christian faith, and you're never going to get me to deny a cross. And it ain't going to happen. I don't care what you do to me. You're not going to get there.
No.
It ain't going to happen. I believe in my faith. I believe in where I'm at. I believe that we need to tell people the truth. And if you don't like it, Anyway, I want to express to you my gratitude for you coming out. We need to get together with the other people that are running for state rep, and maybe have a complete group session, and talk about what happens, what we need to do, how we can get the voters out there. And voters, if you're out here and you need to learn about John Nungesser, and you need to take some time to listen to this young man, go to his Facebook page.
Yep.
I believe you have one already, which is
John Nungesser for State Representative 177th District.
Okay, and there you can leave him messages and talk to him and ask him questions. The man is full of knowledge. He's young. He's got a lot of energy. He doesn't have 50 years of sitting in a city council seat, 10 years of sitting in a city council seat. And he's not a state rep for the last 15 years. Remember, when you're pushing them buttons and you're talking about voting, that this young man has not been here 5, 10, 15 elections telling you that Social Security is a problem, telling you that immigration is a problem, telling you that the veterans are an issue. Because the people that have been there for 15 years, how long has your opponent been in office?
I'm sorry?
How long has your opponent been in office?
He was elected 2 years ago, but he ran before that as well.
Okay. So, did he meet his needs and the one before him? 50 years of a Democrat. And I believe you have a message for somebody, right?
Yep. Well, we were talking about this earlier. I actually just got engaged this past weekend.
All right.
to my beautiful fiance now, Samantha. So if you're watching this, Sam, I just want to say hi and I love you.
There you go. There you go. And you know, keep us abreast of what's happening with your engagement here. You know, I think she's picking a good one here. You know.
I keep saying she's my better half, and people say, "Oh, you have no idea."
You know, they say behind every powerful man is a more powerful woman.
And they couldn't be more true.
And trust me, I can be understanding of that. Because many of men that I know that have been out there, if it wasn't for a good woman behind them, they wouldn't be where they're at today. But again, 25th District, 177th District, right?
Yep.
25th Ward, State Rep. Please give him a chance, give him an opportunity. Look at what the young man has. If you have events coming up in your area and you want to have this young man come out, go to his Facebook page. Who do you have a number for them to call? Do you have something other than the Facebook?
Nah, everything's on the Facebook page for right now.
Okay. But this is a young man. Please take time out to learn who this individual is. We're gonna have a special segment that I'm gonna have on An Hour with Dave, with a lot of the candidates that are running who are new to the campaign runs and to the seats that are coming available. And we're going to see if we can see what's common, why are these people out there, why are the new faces that are out there. Because I got to tell you, we need new changes. We need them a lot. Mm-hmm. We need new faces, and we got to do something about the city council. You can't have city council defunding police, and you can't have city council not paying attention. If they've been in there for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you better wake up. Because, you know, you think it was bad now, let them keep spending all that money and see what happens. My time is coming up. I want to thank you, John, for being out here, and we look forward to working you back. God bless you. God bless America. Peace.